Hey there, so today I'm going to talk you through how I would set up my watch for running. This is based on my watch, which is a Garmin. I only know Garmin's, and mine is a 735, so fairly old, but most Garmin's have a fairly similar menu. So first of all, you need to add a run screen. Now, probably most watches come with this as the default, but you might decide you want to add an extra one. So I'll just show you how you add a screen if it's not already there. You want to go into your menu. So, sorry, I've gone into there. Hit the go screen, then I've gone down button into menu, and then you can either scroll all the way down to settings, or it's quicker to get there if you just go up into settings, down to, and again we could have gone up, activity profiles, and then you would add a new activity profile in there. So that's if you don't already have a run screen or you want to add a new run screen, but for most of us, we'll already have a run screen. It's just a matter of editing it. So we're going to go to activity. So I'm hitting that up arrow there and scroll all the way up till I get to run. And this is just my standard run screen. You can have as many run screens as you want. Well, it's probably a limit, but probably no more than you need. Okay, so I have as my standard screens, I have my first screen, I've got timer, distance, pace, and average pace. And I keep the same layout on each of the screens. So I want to know my distance, I want to know my time, I want to be able to see what pace I'm running at that moment in time, but I also want to know my average pace. Generally, my average pace is going to be of more use to me than what I'm actually doing at that second in time, because I might have started up too fast. I want to know how I'm going for the whole run. Now, a lot of the running that I do is interval based, so I want to know how fast I'm running for that interval. I don't want to just know at that second in time that I look at my watch, because that's not showing a reflection of the full interval. So I also have a lap screen set up. So on my lap screen, I've got lap time, lap distance, lap pace, and last lap pace. I'll show you how to set this up in a second, but I have that last lap pace because often if I'm doing really fast intervals or if I'm just preoccupied and getting to the end of the interval, I hit the lap button with that little roundy arrow there. I hit that at the end of my interval to go into my rest or to go into the next interval, and I didn't see actually what I managed to do for the last lap. So by having that showing there, each time I hit the lap button to end an interval to go into the next interval, I can see what I was doing for the previous lap. I then have another screen, which is pretty much a replication of the first screen, but with a few different details on there. I've got time of day, so if I'm out on a run and I need to make sure I'm home in time, then I've got my time on there, and also heart rate. And I like to be able to see the current pace I'm running at and the heart rate I'm holding at that moment in time. Don't quite know how it's giving me a heart rate right now, given that it's not on my watch, on my wrist, but anyway. So those are the basic things I like to see. You can have other things, but those are the sort of bare minimum I would recommend. I wouldn't have hundreds of screens because you find you just don't have time to look at them. I've also got my map screen, and that's it. So in terms of how we set these up, if we go back in and we go to menu and then we go activity settings, data screens, and I'll go into screen one, I can see how many fields I have. I could, if I click on that, I can then change the number of fields by using the up and down arrow. So that's 1 field, 2 fields, 3 fields, 4 fields, and then it goes back to 1 again. And I'm just using those scrolling arrows to scroll through that. It's predetermined by default what fields come in there, but then I can change those fields. So if we use the back arrow to go back in, and then we can edit those fields. So I'm going to go into field 1, which was up the top there, and I had my time in there. I could decide to change it to any of those other fields in there, elapsed time, whatever time I want. Or I could obviously change it to all the other fields that are in there. So it's up to me to set up those fields that I want, but I go through each field, changing it. That's screen 1 done, then screen 2, go in, and I can choose whether that screen is showing or not. So if you've only got one screen showing or not, you just need to go into status and use the button to toggle it on and off. And then again, choose how many fields and then edit those fields as I go. So you go through, set up as many screens as you want. Hopefully that all makes sense. And then when I'm using my watch, I'll go out, go on my run, press go. And then I will make sure that as I go through my run, I'm hitting the lap button, so this wiggly arrow button here, each time I begin an interval and end an interval. Now that means that I can see the pace that I was holding for that certain interval. It might be that I'm doing intervals and I have a rest and I'm just standing still. That's fine. It doesn't have a rest screen like it does on the swimming, but I know what my time was for how long I'm holding my rest interval for. I can see what I did if I've got that last lap screen showing for on my laps pace. So I'm just hitting the button, off I go again. So hit it at the beginning, hit it at the end. That means I've got my numbers showing for each bit of the run. That means when I come to look at the data afterwards, I can see what I did, but it also means as I'm running, I can see what's going on for each of those laps. Maybe I'm doing an interval, but I bump into a friend and they stop to talk to me, and I forget to hit lap or whatever, but then I can hit the lap button again and then carry on after that, and I can make sure I hold the right pace for the rest of the lap. So I would tend to do this where I'm pressing the buttons rather than the watch is beeping at me telling me what to do, but that's your choice. The other thing that you want to do is make sure, so if we just finish that run, discard it. The other thing that we want to make sure is that we haven't got auto lap on. Now, if you want auto lap because you find it useful, that's fine, but I find with those lap screens I don't need it. But the problem with having auto lap on is, for most of you, it'll be set at a, sorry, I'm just trying to remember where it is, can't talk, and let's go into menu, activity settings, alerts, and then laps. So if I have a auto lap going on every kilometre or every mile, then that's going to disrupt the laps I'm doing. So I might be running a 2 kilometre lap, but it suddenly goes off a mile into the lap, and my lap's going to be broken into two, which is fine if it's happening within that lap. But if I then went into a rest while it's still auto lapping, it's going to mess up all my data. So I can choose in there to turn it on and off. If I wanted it on, you can have auto distance, so it could be 1 kilometre, it could be 1 mile. You can choose your own things. You can choose how it alerts you, buzzing or beeping, I think. But as I say, I would have that turned off, and then I'm choosing the laps that I want to have on there. Okay, hope that makes sense. Hope that is helpful. Do let me know if you found it useful.